let's talk about characters of Latin descent. Hey, what's up, nerd fam? This is your boy Gashan, and I want to welcome you to Into the Nerd, where we love characters, whether it's from anime, cartoons, comics, or whatever. Now, if you love that too, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel so you can see more of the content when it's posted. So today we're going to be talking about original characters, specifically Latino characters, right? Now, I always talk about certain demographics, and everyone's favorite thing is representation. And especially when it comes to race swapping, gender swapping, whatever. But I want to talk about some original characters that haven't inherited any mantles that exist, and they are of Latin descent. So without further ado, let's get into it. First character I want to talk about is an OG, that is White Tiger, aka Hector Ayala, right? So he is the first Puerto Rican superhero, and he's awesome. He actually first appeared in Deadly Hands of Kung Fu. What's really important about him is that they really got the culture down. Like, not only was he born in the Bronx, but he actually spoke Spanglish, had a lot of colloquialisms that you would actually see even now today in modern day. Made sure he ate the cultural foods. It was great. It was great, right? He had a tough upbringing. He actually was cool with Peter Parker. He went to Empire State University. Even fought alongside Spider-Man. He met Shang-Chi and stuff. That's what in the Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, which was awesome. And unfortunately, he had an untimely death, which made his mantle get passed over to his niece Angela and his little sister Ava. And they are currently in the comics, kind of going back and forth with the roles, with the whole J Tiger thing, right? Now Ava is hinted to be currently the White Tiger, which is what's on my shirt right now, but we're not sure if she's really accepting it right now. And I encourage you to read that. I don't want to give too many spoilers about what's happening with them, but I would encourage you to read what's happening with them in some modern day Avengers comics right now. So yes, learn about White Tiger, all three of them. Now these two are some of my favorites, even though they're not as well known at all. It is Fade and Flashback, or Carlos and Sarah Quinones. Now why this is really cool, because obviously they're brother and sister, and their powers are they usually use their powers in tandem. So Fade actually has the ability to be intangible. He can fly. He can also sense danger. Now he normally appears as someone almost albino, but he's actually when they show him regularly, he's actually dark skinned. What's really cool about him is he is a very complicated character. He's reluctant. They both get their powers from the Big Bang incident. He's also a heavily closeted gay man, right? He actually is in love with his team member Tech 9, I believe, right? And they're both members of Blood Syndicate, which is an awesome group, right? His sister Flashback, she can rewind back 3 seconds, so she can pretty much save people's lives, but she's done to her team. So pretty much when she has seen them die multiple times, she's brought them back from the brink of death, which has actually made her very depressed seeing that happen over and over again. And she's actually on drugs because of it, to try and cope with it, which makes both of them very, very complicated characters. And I think something that could be explored if they ever were to do a Blood Syndicate movie, because these are issues that people deal with every day, especially because their family wasn't very accepting of who they were. And this is whether it's sexuality or just powers or whatever they decide to do. So I thought that was really, really cool. This is two really cool characters. Next character is Maya Lopez, or Echo as she's more known as, right? Now her father, Crazy Horse Lincoln, he got killed by Kingpin, and his last dying wish was to tell him, hey, could you just raise her right, make sure she's good. And Kingpin, does his version of that, which is make her into a killer. One of her abilities is she has photographic reflexes, which is the same as Taskmaster. When Kingpin had her look at tapes of Bullseye and Daredevil over and over again, when she saw it, when she finally got a chance to fight Daredevil, she beat him. It was pretty crazy. So yeah, she's a pretty awesome hero, and I'm thinking that they are gonna put her in the Hawkeye. I was hearing some news about that. She's gonna be in the new Hawkeye show on Disney Plus. That they're gonna be casting. I haven't heard anything official. Haven't heard anyone who they have in mind. But if so, that would be awesome. So yes, learn more about Echo. Next one is Black Tarantula. Now, Black Tarantula is actually a mantle passed down from father to son for about 700 years. I think a guy from Spain pretty much went to Japan, learned from the hand ninjas and just took it from there, and also started like a whole crime syndicate. So when the current Black Tarantula, Carlos LAMUERTO from Argentina, actually goes, he gets married, has a son, and the wife unfortunately finds out like, okay, well, he's actually a criminal, so she moves to America, becomes a professor, and actually is dating like the nephew of like an Italian crime lord, right? So he goes to America to establish a foothold and really to locate his son. He is a Spider-Man villain who actually finds out who Spider-Man is and even pretty much causes the whole identity crisis storyline. But his abilities are pretty crazy. I mean, he has superhuman strength, agility, he can fire beams from his eyes. He's not immortal, but he has tons of longevity, so he can probably live to be well over 100 years without looking like it, right? So pretty cool. I would love to see this character in a Spider-Man movie. I think he would actually make a really good villain, especially as the power set and having his own backdrop as a story, or his story as a backdrop. That was weird. That was very dyslexic. Sorry. Next we have Fire, Beatriz Costa. Now she has two different origins, right? At first she was like the head of the Brazilian subsidiary of Wayne Enterprises, and like she first got her powers from like Brazilian mysticism, so it was kind of supernatural. She can still do pyrokinesis, could like exhale green fire, and powerful enough to fight Superman, which is pretty cool. She's also part of the Justice League International. Now, I think after New 52, her origins a bit different. Now, I guess she got her powers from like a Brazilian government experiment, and she got covered by something called like pyroplasm, right? So, but regardless, her power set actually remains the same, and she's a cool hero, Justice League International, and powerful enough to fight Superman. And she was also trained by Batman, so she's a great combatant as well. So, and also in a New 52 counterpart, she was like a supermodel as well. So she could be that, super feminine, and kick ass, and be able to beat up one of the top guys in DC. So yeah, I think she should be included somewhere. These next few characters either appeared in X-Men comics or were members of X-Men teams. So these are actually very, very interesting. Let's get into them. I'd say first, let's go into Cecilia Reyes, right? Now she, born in Bronx, Puerto Rican descent. Her father died early in a shooting, so from there she decided, well, that's it. I just want to be focused on saving people. So she became a very talented doctor. She developed her powers, which were, you know, creating a force field and even using it offensively, putting spikes on it, cool stuff like that. She was contacted by Professor Xavier. She was like, look, I'm not trying to be known as a mutant, so don't out me. Eventually it happened, and you know, she started helping out in New Mutants and stuff like that, which was really cool. She's actually in the New Mutants movie, albeit she doesn't look anything like she does in the comics, you know, but what's new, right? But I mean, you know, she was there. At least they decided to pay some attention to her. But yeah, can they get somebody look like her? Darwin, Armando MUNOZ, is actually of Dominican descent. He has like a really cool power to adapt to everything. Unfortunately, his story is pretty sad because of the way he looks, his father was like, that can't be my son, and left, and then his mom blamed him for that, so he was pretty much trying to like impress her, and it never really happened, right? So didn't have the parents' love, but his power is really cool. He adapts to any situation, so you throw him out a window, he gets soft so he can bounce out of there. If you throw fire at him, he gets flame retardant. And also, like, if he makes contact with certain people, like with Hela, he literally got her powers as well, which was absolutely nuts, and he's just about immortal as well. So yeah, how about that? Powerful hero. He actually also did make an appearance in X-Men First Class. Very, 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 very depowered though. Like nowhere near what he's supposed to be. So yeah. Richter appeared in an X Factor comic, right? Now, what's cool about Richter is, I believe it was a group called The Right. They were holding him hostage and using his powers to create like earthquakes. He got rescued, became part of the team. For a little bit was in love with like Wolfsbane. Now, what are his powers? Obviously, he can create earthquakes, control like seismic activity, and even like do as much as like to shift tectonic plates, which is pretty powerful, right? Also, he happened later on. They wrote him like I think 2009. They made him come out as gay, and he and Shatterstar were in a relationship, and that was a big deal, right? So tons of stuff you get from this character. Powerful and hits all types of check marks when it comes to demographics. So yeah, let's talk about Richter. Oh, and they did have Richter in, he was represented in the Wolverine movie, latest Wolverine movie. He was a kid at that time though. So yeah, they were starting, they almost getting there. He, little appearance. So yeah. Now Arclight's more of a villain. Like, she's been a member of like the Brotherhood of Mutants, Marauders, and even actually some X-Men teams along the way, but she really made her first start as a Marauder, and she pretty much held a huge hand in the Mutant Massacre, which is when the Marauders pretty much killed a whole bunch of Morlocks, which was nuts. Now, she was actually in the Vietnam War, and a lot of the memories from that kind of, you know, drove her crazy, and she used like bodybuilding to enhance her powers, which is like pretty much creating seismic waves and like superhuman strength and making her body very, very dense. So yes, she was also in X-Men The Last Stand. I'm trying to forget that movie. However, she is actually a really cool character, and she's vicious, something that needs to be seen more from women characters, just in terms of showing a spectrum. Like, yeah, feminine, vicious, a little bit of both, whatever you want to do. It's pretty cool. I like it. I really like her as a character. Now, I won't say there are like 0 Latino characters in mainstream media. That wouldn't be true, right? Like, you would have seen like Renee Montoya in Birds of Prey, you know, Robbie Reyes in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the very popular Miles Morales vibe on the Flash series, like a few, right? And then there is also, I mean, if you read comics, you know that also Kyle Rayner is also like half Mexican. They made Catwoman's also half Cuban as well. Like there are a few that are pretty well known, right? The thing is, except for the exception of maybe Catwoman, a lot of them like are part of like larger like mantles, like, you know, like the Green Lantern Corps or like Ghost Rider. A lot of the ones that I chose to talk about today have their own mythos altogether, with the exception of the White Tiger ones that I mentioned before, who are still all within their own family of things, which is pretty cool. I also want to say, I mean, sometimes you get weird stuff in mainstream media, like what I mentioned with Cecilia Reyes and even Bane. Because a lot of people, you look at the mainstream portrayal of Bane, right? And you notice that it's either like some hulking idiot or Tom Hardy's depiction, which had him sound like Sean Connery when he's South American. Like, he literally speaks Spanish in the comics. Like he's pretty much wearing a luchador mask. So it's like, what's going on here? Like, why do they do stuff like that? That bugs me. But even with all that, I just wanted you to see that there are some pretty cool characters out there. Those are from Marvel, DC, and one was Milestone, which is DC, but also has a bit of its own universe as well. So let me know if you like some of these characters. If you want more characters from this or any other demographic, let me know. I got you. We can go into detail about some if you really want to as well, right? So let me know what you think. And remember, keep on reading comics, watching movies, and keeping your eyes open for new characters. But please don't forget to enter the nerd.